I'm working on a translation of Oswald Spengler's play Montezuma that he wrote when he was only 17 years old. But you have to keep in mind with Spengler a couple of things about his biography, one of which is that he had to share his bedroom with two sisters, and his mother was a tyrant, as was his father also. His father was a postal clerk, and very humorless disposition, a very humorless household, apparently. This may account for why we never see Spengler smiling. I've only ever seen one single photograph of him that someone sent me of him smiling. I think he was watching a horse race or something like that. So he was constantly at the library. That was his only escape from his domestic environment. And this was not an individual raised on a diet of American pop. Instead of going to movies, he went to sophisticated plays for his entertainment, and he just read. Reading was his primary thing. I don't think he even hung out much with friends. And so that accounts for his accelerated development and his precociousness in the biographical sense, but then there's always a karmic sense. He may already have developed literary skills in several incarnations because you keep your skills. Whatever you develop in previous incarnations, you keep those skills. You can fall back on them and they come easily to you. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and read Act 1 here. I already did a recording where I read the first scene of Act 3, which is actually Scene 4. So this is the book. It's under construction. Here it is. Montezuma, A Tragedy, Oswald Spengler, translated and adapted by John David Ebert. And I say adapted because it's not just a translation, but I've added a line or two here and there where I can tell that the young Spengler was headed in a certain direction and he would have said this or that particular thing. Not a lot, just lightly salt and peppered throughout. I haven't changed any of the scenes or anything like that, or the story, or nothing like that. Just occasional tweaking with the dialogue. There won't be that much AI imagery, just a few basic ones here. This is a fate-laden moment and a famous one when Cortez shook Montezuma's hand to seal the deal. It was basically Montezuma not realizing that his own civilization was committing suicide, basically by shaking hands with greedy whites. All right, and then now this is not AI art. This is done by the digital artist Thomas Cole, Kole, and he has very magnanimously given the rights to this art to Wikimedia Commons, so it's free to use. And he did a whole bunch of these really cool imaginations of the cities of Tenochtitlan and its sister city there. I think it's in the sister cities in the foreground, Tlatelolco. And then, so my introduction will go here. And then there's another view of the two cities from afar on Lake Texcoco. And okay, so now the characters are Montezuma, who was the emperor of Mexico from 1502 to 1520, Cuitlahuac, his son, Cacama, the emperor's advisor, an 80-year-old man, Tewas, a young cacique who will get caught in a kind of subplot, a kind of Tristan Isolde subplot between him and their translator, Marina. Cortez himself, of course, Aguilar, who is a monk, and he is the confessor, the father of Cortez, Sandoval, some Spanish captives in the army of Cortez, Leon, Alvarado, Spanish soldiers, Jose and Francisco, and then Marina, an Aztec scout in the service of the Spaniards, and various Spanish and Aztec messengers and soldiers. Okay, the first part takes place in Veracruz, the rest in Mexico, Montezuma's capital. Act 1, Scene 1, the Spanish camp in Veracruz. The action takes place in Cortez's tent. Aguilar enters. Aguilar, my commander, Montezuma's messengers are waiting for your answer. You promised them you'd have it today. Cortez, go ahead and bring them in. Aguilar, after a pause, are you still insisting on this reckless campaign? Should every warning be ignored? Cortez, I'm not afraid, Aguilar. Aguilar, you should not be so heedless. Just for once in your life, follow our advice. What you want is impossible. Do you think you're actually going to overthrow the throne of Montezuma, who's never been conquered and whose every command an army of hundreds of thousands obeys? Cortez, I'm not worried. With my troops, I can take them on. Aguilar, not against the Aztecs. Cortez, They're few, I'll admit, but Aguilar, they're Spaniards. Each one of them is worth 1,000 savages. Aguilar, you can accomplish a lot with cunning and cleverness, I'll give you that, but they don't understand our European ways. To fight them in open combat with their numbers, victory is simply not possible. Ah, but Aguilar, you've never seen battle with savages. You have no idea how powerful and terrifying our weapons are to these people. On this very voyage, when we had anchored on an island to fetch water, I saw very well what we are capable of, and since that day I have believed in our invincibility. The Indians rushed to the shore and swarmed all over our army, with wild cries of victory that arose all around. But when just one of our guns was fired, Aguilar, the terrified population scattered. None of them remained. Their weapons just fell from their hands as my army entered their city, and all resistance disappeared. They let everyone be murdered, women as well as men. The Spaniards waded through them all, plundering while fire blazed through the streets. One incident, though, still lingers in my memory. As the soldiers were slaughtering them, I heard a woman nearby cry for help. I ran into the house through the flames and dragged a half-dead woman to safety, and that is Marina, our translator, who has been with us ever since. Aguilar, you deceive yourself. Take a look at these cities. The temples, the streets, the palaces, all the colorful splendor of these people, and yet you call them savages? You should not be so arrogant. Cortez, oh, but that's not all. No sooner had we landed when messengers arrived from Montezuma. The emperor was absolutely terrified by our arrival, which an old legend of theirs had foretold. Aguilar, a legend? What legend? Cortez, oh yes. In ancient times their god Quetzalcoatl disappeared into the Eastern Ocean with the rumor that he would one day return from the East as a white god bringing eternal happiness to the Aztecs. Aguilar, and Montezuma thought it was us? Cortez, at first. But when he realized his error, pride forbade him from attacking us, and he sent one messenger after another, urging us to return home, sometimes through pleas, sometimes through threats. But I insisted on visiting him in Mexico myself. Finally, he relented from his demand, and the ambassadors here granted my wish. This is how fear worked on him, you see. Believe me, Aguilar, I'm more than a match for this weak and indecisive ruler. Aguilar, you shouldn't be so hasty. You say he is weak, but I would get to know him better first. When he learns his true purpose, then you will feel his brave boldness. Ask the inhabitants of this city. No one will you persuade to fight him. Let me remind you how he subjugated this entire land to create his immense empire. Everyone still trembles in memory of that young hero, and only with foreboding do I see the future approaching. Cortez, you're only fit to be a priest, Aguilar, a man of truths, not facts. Your fears get my soldiers worrying. Aguilar, you should be grateful that I urge caution. Once you've fallen into the emperor's net, then you will be lost. Cortez, to hell with that. I'll deal with this heathen in my own way. Once I reach his capital, I'll have already won half the battle. The Aztecs will soon get used to their new rulers. Aguilar, I wouldn't dismiss them so easily. The whole people hates us. Look at their envoys, whose pride will not allow them to take us seriously. They appear here like grandees, weighing every word with harsh and cold skepticism. A brave people like this will most certainly be able to defend themselves. Cortez, that problem will be sorted out, pious father. When they are bound and whipped and made to exploit our gold mines, then the sword and the gun will make the situation clear to them. Then they will calm down, I can assure you of that, Aguilar. I have learned how to deal with these savages. Now enough! Call my Spaniards and bring the envoys in with them. I won't delay any longer. Why don't you go and hide, Aguilar, and take your forebodings with you, you damn coward? Cortez alone. If ever a man was afraid of every little shadow that stirred in the wind, it would be him. Pacing. I have waited my whole life for this moment. Years. And now, when satisfaction is finally within reach, just give up the adventure? Retreat out of mere fear of this savage ruler? Not a chance. As long as I breathe, that will never happen. This beautiful land with its immense treasures. Just leave it to preserve their miserable lives for which they already live in fear? They are mine now. They cannot escape. They must serve me with their people, and with the emperor's gold I will buy their lives, their love, and their courage. Should I doubt my own abilities? No. Fate shall never find me discouraged. He stands pensively. The Spanish colonels enter, followed by 5 Aztec envoys. Cacama in the middle, as they step forward before Cortez. Cortez, welcome, noble chiefs. We are ready to hear your emperor's message, and I will give you an answer. Cacama, sitting cross-legged on the ground. You know, Cortez, not so long ago, when Montezuma heard that white men had landed on the distant coast, He believed that a legend long held by the people had come true, but that was a mistake. Foreign men came to our country, and the emperor sent messages to persuade them to return home. For an ancient law commands us to close our borders to every stranger who is an enemy of the country. But you did not wish to leave, and you requested permission to greet Montezuma in his own capital. No foreigner has yet seen it, but his heart will no longer close itself to your request. So listen. Your wish shall be granted. The capital awaits the foreign guest of the unknown people, and the protection of the ruler will surely guide you there. Cortez. To the great emperor, who has so often obliged me in this short time, I would like to be as grateful as I can. Cacama. But you must first vow to fulfill 2 conditions for him. Otherwise, what does he want? Cacama. As soon as you have visited Mexico, you must return home and be content with what no one before you has been allowed to see. It is not good for strangers to stay long. There would only be strife and mischief, and therefore your stay must be short, and you shall leave our country without delay. Cortez. We'll be there only a few days, I can assure you. So that you may truly believe my will, I swear. Cacama. No, that is not necessary. If you say so, then we will believe you. A real man does not break his word. That is the virtue that we Aztecs have always upheld. Montezuma believes in your loyalty. A word from you is as good as a solemn oath to him. Cortez. I am a man who gives his word, and true Spaniards do not break their word. Cacama. Montezuma demands one more thing of you. You must not enter the sacred temples, and you must respect our gods, for we are happy in the faith of our fathers. We respect yours, and hope that you will not disturb the people in theirs. Aguilar. What's he saying, Cortez? My lord, do not tolerate these pagans dishonoring our holy church with their idolatry. Shut up, Aguilar. Cacama, calmly. We demand nothing more than what is necessary. We know that you Spaniards have already forced other peoples in other countries to kneel before your God and worship him. It has been heard with anger and pain that you are acting in the same way now. On the coast, here myself, I found witnesses to your deeds. In our capital, there were many who advised the emperor to destroy you. You should know that. But he did not wish to do so. However, he will protect our temples. You dishonor yourselves when you despise the faith of others. Aguilar. What? You mock us, insolent heathen? Sandoval. Be silent, Aguilar. Can't his gray hair protect him from your disrespect? Cacama. My mission is over. If the news I must bring to the emperor is not as pleasant as he expects, it is not your fault, my commander. But your people did not meet me as they should have. That brave man who, safe among his own people, insulted the foreign old man, who cannot punish him very severely, bears the blame. A shadow now clouds our friendly relations, for Montezuma respects his messengers and will not tolerate them being reviled with impunity. Leon. We despise the emperor's threats. He has not yet felt the Spanish sword. A cacique. We have endured your arrogance for long enough, and we have put up with enough of your mockery. But woe betide you if you blaspheme against Montezuma, little boy. We did not come here to beg. We are the givers. Your lives depend on our will. If his kindness is abused by you, then we shall break the bonds of friendship. We do not fear your weapons. If you want the situation to be otherwise, then there will be enmity. Leon. See how these savages boast. Be quiet, Leon. These messengers are under my protection. Woe betide anyone who dares to insult them. Cacama. You see that your Spaniards think differently. You are free to reject the friendship that we offer you, but I no longer have the desire to endure it. If we are not treated better from now on, then it will be war between us. I am an old man, but not too old to teach you respect. I have led 20 battles, and none has been lost. If you want to fight, you will have a fight. You are not men whose swords I would ever fear. I have always served my emperor faithfully and demand that no reproach, no insult he does not deserve be uttered in my presence. Cortez. I am sorry, venerable old man, that you leave here offended, but admit it yourself. The fault is not mine. Restrain your anger. What Montezuma demands of us, I gladly promise to do, for his friendship protects our lives in this foreign land. If you are favorably inclined toward me, do not complain to him about what has offended you here. Cacama. Cortez. A man's honor lies in his truthfulness. I do not lie. What has happened here Montezuma shall know. His trust has called me here, and I will conceal nothing from him. Cortez. Please forgive my soldiers if they cannot remain silent at the right moment. You will become better acquainted with them, I hope. Cacama. I am now leaving. Come, cacique. Our emperor is waiting for us. The envoys leave. Cortez. He has left in anger. Could you not restrain yourselves for just a short meeting? Is that how you go about increasing our advantage? Listen to me, all of you. You shall feel my wrath if you jeopardize my plans with any more of your foolish outbursts. Aguilar. But am I to tolerate a stranger in our camp mocking our church? Sandoval. He did not insult it, you did. Cortez. Such a bold people as enemies, I did not believe it possible. Now I'm seeing it. The calm insouciance in their strength shows their fortitude. If everyone is as devoted to their emperor as this royal old man, how can I hope to ever dissuade even one of them from his loyalty? They are all our enemies. How mistaken I was. I took the situation too lightly. Now cliffs that I never noticed suddenly loom before me, threatening my death. Alvarado. Oh, but those are just idle thoughts. Cast them aside, Cortez. As long as I still have a sword and my strength, I do not fear any danger that threatens me. Cortez. That is how you have always been, Alvarado. No, you must say it yourself. I had to promise him to return immediately, empty-handed. My whole life would have been lived in vain. My aspirations would now come to a swift end, and I cannot bear that. Despised, poor, to live a life like that of a farmer, who year after year plows the fields and every day faces the same dreary drudgery. And if I don't go through with this, the emperor will soon crush us with his gigantic armies, and later conquerors will never even find a trace of our graves. Aguilar. Ah, so now you fear them, when it is already too late. But you did not heed my warnings, did you? Cortez. I have tempted fate. Now I have gone so far that I have no choice but to continue, do I? Even if I see an abyss before me. Back in Cuba, Velasquez tried to prevent my departure. He himself wanted to conquer this land, and did not want to grant to me the victory and the spoils. I only got away from him by cunning. But he will almost certainly send his troops after me. I am marching against enemies to the west of me, while behind me from the sea others are already looming. If we are still fighting and the Aztecs have not yet been subdued, and then his ships land, I will have only the choice between death and defeat at the hands of the Spaniards or the Aztecs. Marina enters. It was a big mistake that I carelessly put myself in this situation, and now I do not know what to do. Marina. What are you saying, Cortez? That cannot be. What would become of all of us if you went under? If you die, I'll have no one left on earth I can trust. You must reach your goal. Sandoval. What are you talking about, Marina? You seem to have forgotten your homeland so quickly. Marina. My homeland? Sandoval. Did this land not give birth to you? Marina. I no longer have a homeland. As a slave, I was sold in my youth. I no longer have any love for it, as it has become strange to me like everything else. Cortez, you have saved me from death by fire, and so my life now belongs only to you. I can help your journey with my guidance. I know their language and their customs, and it is easy for me to discover their plans. I will do everything for your sake alone, but you must be the victor. Cortez. Yes, well, only the fates can help me now. Marina. Is there nothing else? Cortez. No, Marina, there isn't. I'm running out of options. Marina. You have told me a lot about your plans, and I have thought about them. It always seemed as if you thought you had to fight the entire country, but I have listened from my youth of how the brave Montezuma became the emperor, and heard the stories of how he created his empire, how he subjugated all the peoples from sea to sea. His reputation for invincibility shocked even the most remote tribes. No one dared openly to oppose his sword. Thus his power seems invincible, but in reality it is a fragile structure that a lesser man can threaten if he knows its weakness. The Tlaxcalans and all the other peoples that you will encounter on the march are not happy with their enslavement by him. If you make friends with them and promise them their freedom, they will quickly fall to you, and then you will be strong enough that the Aztecs will live in terror of your might. Cortez. That might actually work. 1,000 thanks, Marina. You are showing me the way to victory. Sandoval. But don't forget what you just promised to the emperor. Cortez. Do you think I just wanted a tour of all these treasures? Is that why I set out with you? No, I want to possess them. Sandoval. But the emperor believes the word you gave him. He trusts you. Should his loyalty shame you so deeply? That is not honest, Commander. If you think that your weapons will ensure your victory, then call the envoys back and renounce your friendship. It's not praiseworthy, but at least it's frank. We do not deserve Montezuma's generosity. The savages themselves revere loyalty and truth and will despise us. Should they shame us Christians with their honesty? Cortez. I have no choice. Before me stands an enemy whom I must destroy before the other reaches me from behind. I cannot choose. One must follow one's heart so blindly. Virtue is a barren field that enriches no one who tills it alone. Shall I give the hard-won glory, the spoils, the dominion to my envious opponent, so that he need only take without effort what we fought for with blood and toil? No, I would rather burn the spoils and sink myself with the ship that holds them into the sea, rather than surrender to him, Alvarado. We want that too, Sandoval. I would gladly forego victory if it was not gained honestly. Leon. Enough with all this, devils! You're debating over savages? Aguilar. If you want victory to be certain, my commander, then you must not forget our religious duties. The church will release you from your oath if you destroy the temples and the idols and force these pagans to be baptized. But if you delay, the saints will deny you glory. Cortez. I am hopeful, and if victory is mine, I will thank the church richly. In Mexico, I will build a church on the ruins of their temples and smashed idols, and give rich gifts to it. Part of the spoils shall belong to the saints. I intend to convert the Aztecs, and if all goes well, I vow to make a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Tell me, Father, will heaven then grant what I desire? Aguilar. If you faithfully fulfill your vow, its favor will not be lacking. Alvarado. Well, it's decided then. Your discussion never ends. I have grown old just listening to it. Leon. And I'm hungry for battle. My sword has rested far too long. Cortez, standing up. Follow me, and never let your bravery fail. Then danger will not overcome us, and victory and spoils will be ours. Do not despair. I will find the way. The curtain falls on Act 1 of Oswald Spengler's magnificent play, Montezuma.